survive 5 kids to tell about it. And today, I invited a special guy who's the dad behind 24/7 Moms, who not only survived 5 kids, but also survived being married to this crazy girl. So
That's
welcome.
right.
I'm so glad you're here with me today.
Well, thank you. And I got my own 24/7 Moms cup.
Absolutely.
That is really special.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
It's actually our old logo. I think we should order new cups.
I think you're right. Well, with the new store, you got your new swag coming.
Yep, new store coming soon. Anyways, I just thought, hey, it would be fun, during this quarantine, this stay-at-home season of many of our lives. You're home with your husband. A lot of women are home all day with their husbands, which I've noticed a lot of funny memes and a lot of things being passed around on social media about that. And how that just kind of made a change in your life. And all of a sudden you have another adult human roaming your halls, wanting things from you or wanting your attention or whatever that might look like for you. And how are you surviving having them around all day? And so I thought, maybe people are just kind of ready to have a break from each other and needing to just get a little bit of encouragement in their marriage. So today...
Do you think we need a break from each other?
No, but we're around each other a lot. That's a normal thing.
We kind of work with each other.
Right, so that's a normal thing. But for a lot of people, when you think about that their husband goes off to work all day long and suddenly they're in the house making messes. We won't talk about that.
It's kind of been yard work games around my
Right.
neighborhood. It's like since dads are home, well, everyone's getting busy on spring cleaning in the front yard. Holy smokes, there's a
Right.
lot of pressure on.
But I just thought today if we could talk about the importance of some habits in your marriage that help you to not just survive, but to thrive in your marriage.
Yeah.
And we talk about that a lot here at 24/7 Moms. What does it mean to not just survive, but what does it mean to thrive in that season or in that area of your parenting or the area of your personal life or the area of your marriage? And so I thought today we could talk about what that looks like a little bit for us and what we have found successful for us. It doesn't mean that these are everything for you, but we hope that maybe you could take 1 or 2 of these habits and put them in place in your marriage, and it would help you to also find your marriage to be thriving, not just surviving. Because we know that when you have kids, all of a sudden your marriage is kind of over here and the kids are over here, right? And all of a sudden they're in the front and marriage is put in the back a little bit. And we know that that is part of life and what happens, and there are ways to avoid that happening full time. And so we thought, let's just talk about some of our habits.
Habits are they're kind of like exercising, right? Exercising is a habit, and I wish stuff would just happen when you're married. We instantly just always get along, or I always want to do her honey-do list, or whatever it would be, but you really have to work your marriage to make it good. And if you think that when you signed up for this deal that it just meant that you could still do everything you want to do and be yourself.
It's all about you.
And it's all about you. No way, it's not.
Or you're going to change the person.
Or you're going to change the person.
You're going to change them and you're going to mold them into who you want them to be. Not going to work.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
But marriage is a give and take, right? We have to give and we have to take. Right?
The point is the habits are good habits, right?
Yep.
Where it's kind of almost like ground rules for playing the game.
Yeah. So let's talk about them. So the first habit is modeling to your kids. And this is because if you model things to your kids, you will also be thinking about how you're behaving, right? And how you're responding and how you're reacting in your marriage.
Right.
And so that's why it's a habit that helps you be set up for success, for thriving, because you are paying attention to how you're doing marriage, right? So modeling your marriage to your kids not only sets you up to thrive in your marriage, but it sets up your kids for their future.
One thing I work at doing, and I've worked at as a young married couple, and then with small children, and now many of our children are older, is showing how I treat their mom. And a good way I can do that is at the dinner table. Is I can give them compliments about the food, and or just give her compliments of how good she looks, which is, I'm not lying. But those are things that I can do where they see how I praise their mom, and it helps them understand that that's a positive attribute. Hopefully when they get married, they'll model the same type of behavior.
Right. I think also how it modeling serving one another,
Yeah.
that we do for one another, that when just simple things like, let's say my husband forgets his paperwork that he needs at the office, my modeling that, even though it disrupts my day but I'm willing to go do that because that helps him in his day, and putting him first, right? And that helps my kids see, hey, it's important to serve one another, and sometimes it disrupts your day as well, but that's what's important.
Or like just a couple weeks ago, you came and worked with one of my employees. I just thought, I need a third voice in here to kind of put we have some issues because of COVID-19 with some of our rentals, and our property management needed a little boost to say, hey, we got to keep on top of these people that haven't paid and be compassionate and let them know that we're here. But I needed some help with my employees, and you were helped to kind of make some good rules. You're better at making good, okay, let's do A, let's do B, let's do C.
System person.
Where I'm like, look, just get the job done, okay?
Yeah. So modeling to our kids. Whether it be serving, whether it be compliments, whether it just be our day-to-day behavior with each other, is super important. That's the first habit. The second one is putting God at the center of your marriage, which this should have been number one. But putting God at the center of our marriage is a habit that we began before we were married.
Yeah.
We put it at the center of our relationship.
And that made it really easy. I know, even as us being married for so many years and being involved in the church, if you will, Christian church, because we're Christians, that was an easy part of our marriage. But we can still at times go for a couple weeks and not really have a time together with the Lord, and we have to work it. Again, it's a habit.
Right.
And putting God in the center of your marriage is so important, even with the discussions you have with your kids. Right. And they see that if we have big decisions, we pray about it, and we include them in on it.
Right. And so putting God first, whether it be making a priority that you're involved in church and that you go to church and that you're not just the wife's going or not just the husband's going, but that you're both going to church, is also, again, it models to your kids, but it's also putting God first in your marriage and spending that time praying together. And that's the one thing that we've said to our kids as they've entered into relationships for marriage, is that is such a key and important. Can you pray together? Do you feel comfortable talking to God together? Not, do you have a prayer life? Do you have your own, devotion time? But can you do that together? And we just find that's really important to be able to get down and say, okay, God, this is where we're at in our marriage, or this is where we're at with our kids, or just wanting to spend time with God together. And so we really encourage people that we spend time with counseling or encouraging in their marriages, that this is one of the biggest priorities, is putting God at the center of your marriage.
And I just give you a challenge. If this is an issue that you're uncomfortable praying with each other, that seems to always be the issue. It's like sometimes married couples just feel awkward really praying with each other. Make that a priority, that you can really work on that.
Just don't make it a big deal. Just don't make it a big
That's
deal.
The point.
Because then it's not a big deal, right?
Right.
Okay, so number 3 is having a date night with just the two of you, or just having a date night even if you go out with friends, is also a habit that we have put into place since we've been married. Because we were dating already, and then we got married, we kept dating, right? And then when we started having kids, we realized, wow, we could easily just forget this whole date thing and not spend time on the two of us, or spend time with our friends that encourage us and we encourage them, and just be all kids consumed, right? So we began placing a priority on that. And for many years, a bazillion years, because we have a bazillion kids, our date night was Thursday nights. And so we would go out on Thursday nights, whether it was we had to get a babysitter or our older children became old enough to watch the younger kids. We put priority on a date night. And that date night could look any millions of ways, right? It could be we went out to dinner together, we went to Costco together, we went for a walk together downtown in our beautiful little town, or we ran errands, or it could look so many ways.
Or we met with some other friends.
Right, we went out and met up with some friends and had dinner, or we went and got coffee. I don't drink coffee, but he does. Whatever it was just time together.
There's not big rules on it. It's just Thursday night is our night, and maybe we go by ourselves. Maybe we call some friends and say, hey, let's together. The COVID-19 being isolated, socially distancing, it's kind of made date nights fun. Not that you do it at the cost of COVID-19 because some people are really hurting, but a couple of our dates, like last week, we called up some friends who said, hey, let's get takeout and we'll meet in the park.
Yep, let's keep our social distancing.
And so we were in a picnic bench about like this size, and we had all four corners. And it was really fun.
Yeah.
And actually, I told Trish, I says, my meal out here in the beautiful park, looking at the water, was even way better than sitting in the restaurant.
I think our restaurants here in Gig Harbor are going to see an increase in takeout this coming summer, as even when they are able to open back up eventually. I think for us, even, we discovered we kind of like picking up our food and taking it to the park and sitting outside together, even if we're bundled up in jackets. Friday, I think last Thursday night or Friday night, we went out with our oldest son and his wife. We had a date night with them.
Yeah.
So we said, hey, can we have a date with you guys? And we met up and we went and got food and we sat, again, outside downtown in our little town, Gig Harbor, together, all bundled up in our jackets because it was colder.
But we were prepared.
But it was fun.
Because we were all bundled up.
Yeah.
We had an extra layer. And we really enjoyed it. It was sunny, but here in the Northwest this time of year, it gets a little bite on the weather at night.
So even if your date night is financially strapped, right? So you have to think about, pack a picnic, take it to a park, go get a cup of coffee, bring your own coffee, right? There's so many ways to do it. And if, let's say it's babysitting is your challenge, right? Find another couple that you can swap childcare with. We used to hire a babysitter to watch our children and our neighbors' children so that we could all go out as couples together.
Good idea.
And we saved a little bit of money by combining our kids. And what happened? Our kids loved it. They couldn't wait for date night just so they could all hang out together and be, together. Because we realized when we were hiring two babysitters, our kids were leaving one house and going to the other, and the babysitter was sitting at our one house alone with no kids to watch. So we decided, forget this, we'll get one babysitter, watch all of our kids, and bam, we had a great date night together. So there are creative ways to do it. Okay, so number 4, share the responsibilities. Okay, this is one I want to just give praise to my husband for.
Really?
He has always been really great
Wow.
at sharing the responsibilities since the time we've been married, first got married as a young couple, and then as we went into parenthood, right? When we started having kids, the first thing he started doing right away was he was in charge of bathing the baby. He was in charge of getting up in the middle of the night with the baby and bringing the baby to me and changing the diapers and helping. He has always been a hands-on dad. And I just want to encourage you that maybe your kids are even older now. It's not ever too late to become that sharing of responsibilities. And it's such, again, a great model to your kids, and it helps you have a marriage that thrives because you're not feeling as a mom or a woman, or he's not feeling as the husband or the dad or just a human, that he's carrying all the responsibility of something. And so we shared it in our parenting, whether it was when our kids were in activities and sports and you would drive the kids and you would help drop off and you would help with the rotation of who's going where and what they're doing, whether it was homework, whether it was getting kids off to school in the morning. There was always a shared responsibility, but we communicated it. We didn't.
And again, don't make it a big deal.
Right.
It's always, don't make these things big deals. Just kind of do what you need to do.
What it is, hey, what makes me a better human, a better mom, a better wife, is if you would help me in the morning. Like, that will make our mornings less stressful. So would it be possible if maybe you helped get breakfast out, or you helped get the kids dressed, or got them up while I got ready? And, like there was a sort of some way of a system that how we each helped, right? And it wasn't like we had these rules. It was just, this is what helps me if you can help me in this area. Same thing with around the house, right? Like, if you're having a crazy week, and let's say you're hosting an event at your house that week, and you feel like you can't just get it all done, asking for help is the important piece, especially as a wife. I think we try to assume our husband should just see that we need help, because the way I'm behaving and my attitude and my reactions, he should know I need help. It should be obvious that he sees that the kids need something. It's not. So we have to communicate that.
Yeah. Well, number 5 is show affection with each other. And I guess you got to kind of like each other to do that. But
well, hopefully you like each other if you're married.
Well, I mean, this is the thing that you have to really work that you don't carry burdens with you to bed. I think that's a great way to show affection with each other. We've kind of had a rule in our family, and particularly in our marriage, that we don't go to bed angry. Or
True.
we try and work it out. And that way we can wake up happy, if possible. I mean, marriage is tough, but we find that just showing affection to each other. Now, That's easy for me because I'm a physical touch person. I mean, I thrive on touch and, but this is something I think so important with each other. You got to figure this thing out.
Yeah, but it's even just, again, modeling it to your kids so that they see it, so they see that you touch each other, that there is a physical relationship between your husband and you, that you still love each other, that you care about each other, because it's so easy to get so busy and forget the touch. And human touch is so important. Why do you think so many people right now are going crazy? Because we cannot hug. We cannot greet somebody when we see them with a hug. We cannot touch somebody and say, hey, how are you doing? We crave that. We need that, right? And so right now we're all like, there's so much non-human interaction going on. Right. So I want to encourage you to just try that. Even if it's means you sit down, you hold hands while you're watching a movie, or you sit closer together when you're watching a movie, or you're out on a date, you sit next to each other instead of across from each other. Whatever it is, just find that physical touch that can help you in your marriage to...
Yeah, this is a super big subject. I mean, we just don't have time to get into it. But just simply show each other that you like each other.
Right. Okay, and number 6, the last one, is accept your differences. Okay.
Wow, this is a big
We
one.
are so different. Steve and I are like apples and oranges. We are so completely different.
Well, still to this day, it's hard to figure out how the Lord put us together.
Yeah, but there's value, right? We're still each a valuable person. He has so many great gifts and talents and so much to bring to the table, right? There's so much value in this human being as there is in me, right? And so we have to accept the differences and accept who each other is and be okay with that and figure out how we're going to make that work.
Right.
Right? Because he's not going to do everything the way I do it. He's not going to think the way I think. And that's the big things I have to remember. He doesn't think the way that I think. His brain doesn't function the same way my brain functions. And so we have to appreciate and accept that.
See, when you appreciate it too, what it does is it allows you to cross the line to the other person. So, for instance, she is super organized. She loves things a certain way. Well, it pushes me to try and help complement that in her, right? So I have to be more organized. Like just 2 days ago, okay, she really wanted to organize the closet. Like that was some really big deal. I could care less about the closet, but that was really poor. So I had to cross the line and just take an hour and do it. Right. And that really helped. And she does that for me.
And you accepted the difference in me that I like things organized versus you, right?
And it wasn't a bad thing. I mean, I do like an organized closet. It's just like I'd rather do something else.
Right. And I have to realize the differences in him. Like for him, relationships are super important. It's not that they're not important to me. Again, I'm just a scheduled person, right? But he will take time to spend time on the phone with people. When he runs into somebody, he wants to stand there and he wants to talk to them. Where I'm like, come on, we got to go. We got things that plan. That phone call's not in our plan. That stopping and talking to somebody is not in our plan. When we're on a walk, we're supposed to be walking, not visiting with the neighbors. And it has changed me to make me appreciate that in him of who he is, and also has taught me to appreciate other people and to stop and take the time for other people, and that the importance of relationships. So we each have those things to bring to the marriage and bring value to it, and that's what's important. And so we just hope that you'll think about 1 or 2 of these things to help your marriage also to thrive, not just survive. That's our goal here today, was really to bring that to you.
Right. And so we just challenge you, just work on it. Again, these are habits, right? Habits need to be exercised. You need to do it. And so do what you can do to figure out doing some of these things. Don't look at the whole thing and think there's just no way, we're so different. Right. No, pick one thing.
Yeah. And I think the last thing before we close, I want to remind everybody is there is no perfect marriage. Stop looking at your friend's marriage. Stop looking at your neighbor's marriage. Stop looking at whoever's marriage, your sister-in-law, your brother, whoever. There is no perfect marriage, okay? Marriage is work, but you have to be willing to put into it, okay? So just always remember that. There is no perfect marriage, but when you can continue to be a learner and somebody that grows in their marriage, your marriage will continue to thrive. So being a learner, we can't stop being a learner in our marriage. How can I continue to improve my marriage? How can I continue to support him, encourage him? How can he do the same for me? And so go into it with that attitude, and you will find success in your marriage.
That's right.
Okay, before we close, I have to remind you, May 7th, Mom's Night In. We are going to have the biggest Mom's Night In right here. Well, maybe not right at this table, but we are going to have the biggest Mom's Night In with giveaways, mom games. I don't know, maybe we'll do a cooking demo. I don't even know yet. I'm meeting with my team today and we're going to come up with the what we're going to do for this party. But we're going to have a Mom's Night In. We know that you moms are tired of being at home, missing your tribe, missing your mom friends, missing that connection with your mom friends. You've got lots of connection with your husband right now, but you're missing your mom friends. We are going to create that on 24/7 Moms. Go to our Facebook page. It'll be a Facebook Live, and we will go live on May 7th. I will let you know the exact time in our soon-to-come advertising, but I just want you to mark your calendars now. Tell your friends, get in line. We are going to have a party, and we have a ton of giveaways, a ton of fun coming your way. So I just want to remind you about that. Also, don't forget to invite your friends to join us right here at Mommin It Daily. We show up every morning during the week at 8:30 a.m. And if you miss us at 8:30 a.m., you can always watch the replay, and you can